But all right, guys, let's kind of get started. So, Yago, I know you wanted to talk about some internal updates, some progress that we had. So, do you want to touch base on that real quick, and then from there we can kind of get into like community questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was awesome introduction. Yes, so look, we've been, I think, from the very beginning working to bring this technology to production as quickly as possible. And we sort of set ourselves extremely ambitious goals. We put out the white paper in April, and we sort of swore an oath to each other that we would make sure that there would be a working version in the world that people are using before a year was up. In other words, we set ourselves a drop dead date to make it happen in just 1 year by April 2025. And that is that is always a very scary thing to do because deep R&D, uh, building technologies which are, you know, far out there in terms of no one's ever built anything like this before, and setting yourself very aggressive deadlines is basically a recipe for disappointment. So I have to tell you guys that I need to prepare you for disappointment, but so far we're actually cooking with fire. Um, we're making ridiculously fast progress. We're solving very, very significant problems, and not only that, along the way, we are discovering sort of solutions um, to a lot of problems that are going to have significant benefit far beyond what we initially anticipated and expected to be able to deliver. Um, and so, over the next few months, we're expecting to put out papers which go beyond um, programmability for Bitcoin, go beyond ZK proofs for Bitcoin, but go to um, rethinking how we can design ZK proofs for other chains as well, because we had to figure out how to make ZK proofs efficient enough that they could work even on Bitcoin. We've managed to have some significant breakthroughs that are going to be valuable for the entire crypto ecosystem. Um, we've managed to rethink some tokens themselves from first principles, and I think we have an extremely exciting paper coming out on that soon. But I think the most important stuff is actually not the stuff that is coming out in papers or is coming out over the next few months, but what is going to be happening over the next few weeks. Over the next few weeks, by the end of this month, we expect to put out for the first time a user interface that will allow people to start using testnet, which is already integrated into multiple different chains. We'll be putting out, we really yeah, soon we'll be able to sort of reveal uh, a large number of different chains that are integrated or integrating now into BitcoinOS. So we've put a deadline for ourselves to get that out by the end of this month. So watch that space because you'll soon be able to experience BitcoinOS for yourself on the testnet. We've also are in the process now of final integrations towards what will be our first code freeze. This code freeze is going to be because we're about to start a deep audit of the system. And what that means is that we are basically at a point where we have a complete system, which is ready for audit. And what that also means is that once that audit is complete, we're going to have the first sort of full version of the OS, not just the ZK proofs, which are already on mainnet, but the OS itself is um, is going to be ready for a mainnet production release. And if that's true, then we're actually currently tracking towards March, which gives us a little bit of space, uh, in case anything goes wrong, to still hit our April target.
Wow, that's amazing. So basically, because like a couple of you just joined, So we're looking at testnet launch by the end of the month. That's the deadline that we've set. And then if everything goes well, we're looking at March for mainnet. Is that correct, Yago? Just to confirm?
Yeah, so it's the testnet is already, so the devnet's already out. Testnet we've already got sort of like an internal testnet running. But what's really cool is we've also done something which we didn't expect to do, which is we've been building out a front end interface, which is going to allow everyone, not just developers, but everyone, to experience testnet and to have the experience of using BitcoinOS.
Wow, that's so exciting to hear. This is the first time I'm hearing it myself. So, very, very excited for that. And, just to touch on the community end of things too, make sure that you guys are in our Discord because if you are going to be wanting to like mess around with testnet and just kind of toy around with it, we will be incorporating some questing strategies onto Zeely as well. And if you don't know what Zeely is, please join our Discord because we have more information pertaining to that. It's just a way for you to kind of get points for interacting with our community. So because you will be interacting with testnet, I do want you to get points. And then eventually we were going to be introducing kind of like a reward based system for you to kind of contribute to and gain rewards from. But Yago, if that's kind of all you have to kind of update us with, I can jump into the community questions. So let me
Yeah,
know. Yeah?
please.
Okay. All right, so the first couple of questions are going to be node specific. So before we dive into that, as Yago and David's translator over here, I just wanted to come to you guys with just a kind of a quick explanation of what a node is. So a node is basically a computer that's part of a network or a system, right? So think of it being like a giant group chat. So each node computer keeps a copy of all transaction. Each node talks to other nodes to share new transactions. Each node helps verify everything that's happening is legitimate. And of course, the more nodes, more computers there are in this network or system, the more decentralized and secure this network or system becomes, right? So with Bitcoin OS specifically, nodes are computers that help verify mathematical proofs, right? They're kind of like these equations to ensure that the bridging between Bitcoin and these other chains are secure. So an analogy that I have for you guys, it's like think of it as like security guards that use math instead of muscle to keep a system safe. And when people run these nodes, the ultimate goal with running a node is basically to volunteer their computer to help keep the network or the system more secure and decentralized. Like I said, the more nodes that there are, the harder it is for anyone to cheat the system, right? So let's dive into some of the community questions here. Somebody asked, I have an old ASIC miner. Could I potentially use that to run a node?
Yeah, okay, that's an interesting question. No, um, you so the reason ASICs exist is what is basically an ASIC? An ASIC is an entire computer, including the software on a chip, right? So the reason ASICs were invented or are used is when you want to be able to perform just one type of computation, like one algorithm, super efficiently and super fast. And when you want to do that, if you've got a regular computer, you've got a CPU, and the CPU talks to the hard disk, and it talks to the RAM, and it talks to all of the other components, and the, that communication process, even though to a human being it's like more than instantaneous, right? It happens basically at the speed of light. From the perspective of a computer, it's super slow. And so with an ASIC, what you do is you go and you actually write the software embedded into this the ASIC itself in the form of hardware, right? The logic gates. So software is just zeros and ones, right? But those zeros and ones are hard pressed into the thing. So the whole thing is just like it's like a physical form of software, and it's super fast, but it can only do one thing. So ASICs were invented to do just one thing, which is hash the Bitcoin proof of work hashing algorithm. It's a single algorithm, and they do that really fast. With Boss, there is no single hashing algorithm. And also remember that Boss isn't a chain. So we don't, you wouldn't use a node in the same way, right? We don't have miners. Instead, with Boss, what we are doing is we're verifying zero knowledge proofs. And so one of the interesting things about Boss is zero knowledge proofs are very, very, very small, right? They basically take a huge amount of computation and they condense them into these tiny little proofs. And um, this is like what one of the key breakthroughs of what Boss does is it allows us to take extremely complicated computations and make them compressed so that and compress them into these proofs that can be verified by extremely small computers. So one of the things that we've built, for example, is a light client, which is basically a kind of node for Bitcoin, which uses ZK proofs. So today, most people don't actually run their own nodes. They rely on light clients, and these light clients are actually pretty dumb. They need to ask a real node what's actually up, and so they're not that secure. Um, with ZK proofs, we can create light clients which are extremely secure, have close to the security of a full node. And so what we're doing is we're actually opening up the space of who can be a node and who can be secured with node-like security to almost everyone. And so you wouldn't need an ASIC for that at all. Now there is the other side of that, which is that if you're taking a lot of computation and compressing it into a tiny little proof, somebody needs to run that process, run that computation. You need to generate the ZK proofs. And there are now companies that are trying to work on ASICs to generate ZK proofs much quicker. And so maybe in the future, you would be able to opt in to being a proving node, right? So boss nodes can opt in to do additional jobs, not just verification. And then maybe you would opt into being a proving node, and then maybe 2 years from now you would buy an ASIC and do that. But for now, you'd probably be using a GPU, like just a regular computer.
Okay, I gotcha. So with our nodes, right? Like with a boss node, we would be like if you wanted to run a boss node, which is more like a ZK verifier node, you could kind of run that with just kind of like a basic laptop, right? But if we're looking at Slam nodes, you would probably be looking at about 100 cores to your CPU. So you would definitely need a more advanced, like stronger system to be able to run those Slam nodes, correct?
Yeah, so the Slam nodes are sort of more industrial nodes. So we have like anyone can be running a boss node, but people who want to do work for other people, not just for themselves, right? So people want to verify other people's proofs. They want to like they want to prove ZK and not just verify it. They want to uh, um, provide like cross-chain transaction activity, and those are more industrial nodes, and so there you would probably be running a larger machine.
Okay. And would you clarify somebody who's running a boss node or uh, a slam node as a power user?
So Slam node, so probably both of them are going to be a sort of power user. Um, so it's sort of like Bitcoin. Like if I use Bitcoin as an analogy, I can just like go and open up my, mobile wallet and I have like Bitcoin in my wallet. So I'm a Bitcoin user, right? I'm even self-custodying my Bitcoin in my wallet, but um, but I'm not even running like if I like the most popular mobile wallet today for Bitcoin is Exodus. Um, and Exodus, if you have Exodus sort of downloaded on your phone, you're self-custodying your Bitcoin. They don't have any of the keys. You have all the keys, but you're not even running a light client. It's just a piece of software that holds your private key, basically, right? So that's like a casual user. Um, there are other mobile wallets which you actually communicate directly with the network, and that's through a light client. And so that's sort of more of a power user. There's one level up where you're running a full node that you're not even going to be able to do on a phone. You have to do it on a computer, right? And that was sort of what I was doing when I was getting into Bitcoin for the first time. Everyone had to do it in the early days. So that's an even higher level of power user. And then there are miners, which is an even higher level of power user. So almost every single network, and I think any well-designed network, gives you the opportunity to sort of choose your own adventure and decide how technologically involved you want to be. And I think one of the key principles that we think about is the idea that you shouldn't have to be technical in order to be free. In other words, even if you're super non-technical, even if you're super casual, the system should be built in such a way that you are still, getting the full benefits of the security of the system.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you for clarifying on that. And I guess the reason why I brought up this topic about, what a power user is because when we mentioned the boss token, we've said several times that you don't need to essentially use the boss token to use the bridge, that you can simply use Bitcoin, Cardano, Babel fees, and that the tokens are specifically for power users only. So that's why I wanted you to kind of just kind of go into like what a power user would essentially be. And just to kind of give you guys a TLDR for those of you that are jumping in, basically what Yaga was trying to say about what a power user is it's a power user is people who want to participate in absolutely everything they can in a system, right? So that would be with our operating system. And Yago, if you wanted to touch up on that, feel free.
Yeah, so just to clarify, the token is not necessarily like anyone can use the token, both for payments and for staking. Um, the and we as we're developing, we keep on realizing like n- n- different types of different parts of the system which could actually benefit from giving some users the ability to stake. Um, so the purpose of stake, uh, I think, just generally is it allows you to commit to doing something, right? So, for example, we want to have as many people as possible commit to verifying basically all the proofs. Why would you want someone to commit to verify all of the proofs that go through the system? Because if you have many, many tens of thousands of people verifying the proofs, then the chance that um, a proof will be able to be published without, which is incorrect in some way, without anyone noticing, is infinitesimally small. And just to remind people, with BitcoinOS, like one of the big breakthroughs here is that our system doesn't rely on an honest majority. It doesn't rely on 50% of the users maintaining consensus. Our system relies on just one user, a single user, being able to detect something wrong, detect a fraud, detect a bad transaction. And so if you have tens of thousands of people verifying the ZK proofs, then you've got then basically you just need one out of those 10,000 to secure the entire system. And so the way the security of other systems scale is um, linear, right? So let's say you have um, a system where you have an honest majority, right? And this could be Bitcoin, but it also could be in here, and this is like the bigger problem that we have, right, in bringing programmability to Bitcoin. Today, if you want to use your Bitcoin, even with the most sort of quote unquote decentralized bridging systems, then they can tell you, look, we have a multi-sig that is or a federation that is protecting your Bitcoin, and some will say we have 11 people protecting your Bitcoin, and some people will say we got even more, we got 100, right? And it sounds like you get more security from 100 than from 11, but that's not actually true, because um, the number of people who have to cheat goes up, but the number of people who can cheat goes up exactly at the same rate, right? So with our system, the more people you have using the system, the more secure the system gets. So if you have, 100 people using the system, then because it's a one of n trust assumption, or what we call an honest singleton instead of an honest majority, then just one out of those 100 needs to be honest to protect the system. And then if you have 200 people using the system, then it's just one out of 200 needs to be honest. And if you have 1,000, it's just one out of 1,000. If it's 100,000 people, just one out of 100,000 people in the world needs to be honest for the entire system to maintain its integrity. At which point, it's basically so. It's very hard to imagine a scenario where you can't get one honest person out of 100,000. So um, the security of BOSS scales in a way which is quite new for crypto, where more users actually makes the system more secure.
Thank you.
Yago, can I add to that? Can I just
Go
add to
ahead,
that? Because
David.
I think this is such an important point that Yago is making. But also that when you read how the system works, when you are a verifier, you actually have to bring a stake into this fraud-proof challenge, because you cannot make verification free completely. Because then you could spam the network. But the point is that the more verifiers you have, with the assumption that you only need one verifier to discover dishonesty, is that it becomes very expensive to take over the whole network, because you actually have to take over everything except one. So you have to enter into the fraud-proof challenge process with, let's say, 999 out of 1,000 stakes. So the
No,
economic is
that's
that not true?
that's not correct. No, the only way to defeat the system is to take over the entire system. Everyone, 100%.
Hello,
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello,
hello, Claire,
Claire, can
can
you
you
hear
hear me?
me?
I can hear both of you.
All
I
right.
can't hear
So
Diego.
so so David, what you said is incorrect. Um, and
Yago, David can't hear you, so
so I think maybe
if you
David.
want to hop off and then come back on, David.
Okay, okay.
All right.
So I think this is a really good point. And actually, I gave this long speech and I didn't say the most important thing or the most simple thing. The interesting thing about BOSS is the only way the system breaks is if someone takes over the entire system, right? That means it's not like if you've got 100 users and you manage to take over 99, you can defeat the one honest. No, you have to be all 100 of the users. So the only way the system breaks is if everyone is dishonest. Literally, you need 100% dishonesty to break the system, and that's why
Yeah, sorry.
and that's why. So long as they're just regular users who aren't trying to manipulate the system will maintain its integrity.
Yeah, I was kind of just saying that it scales in terms of like the economic reward as well for being that one honest verifier. That scales as well with the size of the system, which means the cost to take it over scales. So it's really, really, really cool. It's really, really cool to make this permissionless, and solving the issue of scaling it is going to be really, really cool to see once the tech is ready.
So because of this one out of n trust assumption cryptography like method that we use, this security method we use, it's almost like you would say it's basically impossible to like break the system, right? For there to be any bad
No,
actors.
no, no. It's not impossible, and the reason it's not impossible is because in practice, what you see is you have a lot of like super casual users, right? And super casual users, they aren't verifying. Like think about anyone who's used Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana, right? 99% of them have never actually verified even a single transaction. They've just made transactions and they've relied on someone else to verify the transactions. They're relying on the miners or the verifiers to verify the transactions for them. So if you're just a super casual user, theoretically, first of all, you're not providing any additional security to the system, but more importantly, you're not providing any additional security to yourself. And so um, it's the group of verifiers, the group of people who are actually verifying the system. So long as just one of them is honest, the system is secure for everyone. So I don't want to tell people like you can use this blindly and it will always remain secure. Because if you are not a participating, if you're not an operator, what we call an operator of the system, in other words, you're not actively verifying transactions yourself, theoretically, everyone who is could try and cheat you. It's just like a very vanishingly small situation. And if you are an operator, then basically the system is completely trustless.
Right. No, okay, that makes sense. So it's like even if the chances of it happening are just not likely, right? If we have 200 people participating to keep the system secure, to be honest, it's very highly like unlikely that 200 people are going to be you know, not
It's
honest.
not. It's not just unlikely. It's also. So I mean, there's also the economic aspect of the incentives here, right? So it's more profitable to be honest, because if anyone tries to be dishonest, they lose their money, right? They lose their stake and they lose anything that they were trying to transact with. So actually trying to be dishonest is basically a fool's errand, because there's always going to be someone out there who would be very happy to take your money, and you can't cheat the maths of the system. So you're always going to lose, and that means you're always going to lose your money.
And what reason would there be for anybody to even be dishonest?
Well, the reality is that we've already seen ZK-based systems like these, which are less secure than Boss, and they don't have any fraud attempts at all. So Arbitrum, for example, has been running for 4 years, has only seen one sort of fraudulent transaction in its entire history, and that was because someone made a mistake. So it's more usually going to be someone made a mistake. They misconfigured their machine or something. And over the last year, they haven't seen any. So the truth is that these systems are so secure that people don't even try to cheat them.
Okay, okay, I appreciate the clarification there. All right, so let's go into some token-based questions. These are kind of very simple questions. We should be able to get through them really quick. So somebody asked, will you be able to buy the token on centralized exchanges or decentralized exchanges?
The answer is probably yes.
Even though it is an unchained token?
Well, so I don't think we've spoken about what unchained tokens are publicly yet, which is
Oh,
it's basically uh, you just brought, yeah, yeah, since you've raised it, uh, we're working
we,
on making it possible to have tokens which can migrate across multiple different chains trustlessly. But but yeah, so like we expect that there will be multiple different venues, both decentralized and centralized, um, where it will be available to sell and purchase and acquire the token.
okay, the reason why I brought that up is because we actually mentioned it in a previous community call. So we've actually brought it up before, but I don't think we've, dived into that yet. So definitely, yeah, we could definitely discuss that on a different call. All right. Well, thanks for clarifying that. And then this is kind of like a sovereign question. So somebody asked, will the presale be done out of the tokens allocated to sovereign by BitcoinOS or from the total supply?
The pre-sale will not include Sovereign's tokens. So Sovereign is one of the contributing projects, just in case anyone doesn't know. There's a few companies and teams and DAOs working to bring Bitcoin OS to reality. One of the significant ones is Sovereign, so I assume this is coming from someone from the Sovereign community. Um, no, there's a allocation of tokens which is basically being earmarked for both retail and wholesale sort of purchase, so that people can have access to the token when the system goes live. And so to make sure that they can have access to the token and use the token when the system goes live, we're working right now on a pre-sale process so that people can have access. And yeah, no, that's not going to be coming out of any specific project's allocation, but rather the like it's just a general allocation that's been created.
Gotcha. So basically, just like the total supply, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then, in terms of requirements needed by sovereign holders in order to participate in the token allocation, would they need to be staking sovereign? Is that kind of the requirements that are needed
To do what? Sorry.
to basically participate in the token allocation, the boss
No,
token? No.
no. Um, the goal is not to gate this um, to any specific community, because there's a lot of communities that are involved, and just generally there's people in Bitcoin and in crypto who are interested in BitcoinOS. And so we're trying to figure. We haven't finalized exactly what the plan here is, um, but that's probably going to be quite soon. We'll be able to provide more information about that, which is why on the website you can sort of sign up to get notified when we do. But we're working on a way to make it broadly accessible to everyone.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Well, let's go into just a couple other questions here that we had. What challenges do you think this entire process will come with? I know you touched base on this in the last community call, but if you just want to give just a quick TLDR to the community.
What challenges this entire process will come with? You mean like the process of launching BitcoinOS, building it and maintaining it, and
Pretty
growing it?
much. Yes.
I think there are a few. um, Look, we're 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 building technology. Um, you know, sometimes people describe it as moon math, right? Like we're 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 building on the edge of sort of known technology right now. So there's always complexity in that. Over the last year, we've reduced a lot of the uncertainty inherent in that. But until the system's been audited, until the code is open, until the world can look at it, um, it's any code could potentially have some kind of mistake, which is why it's really important to go through the audit process, to incentivize people to look through the code, to create a bug bounty, and to open source code. Um, so uh, there's the technical challenge is just actually figuring out how to do the sort of moon math stuff that we're doing, to figure out how to build the complexity, and then actually the engineering challenge of building that into a efficient, coherent, um, fast, cheap, secure system. So there's that. Um, and that's on the technical side. Now, as big as the technical challenge is, and we've got a phenomenal team of engineers and researchers working on BOSS. Um, it was very important to all of us that we build just as strong a team of people who are not necessarily technical at all, but are focused on all of the other aspects, on communication, on explaining the system, on building community, on building out relationships, on inviting and encouraging developers to build with us. Even if you have the best technology in the world, the world right now is extremely noisy, and the world of crypto is even more noisy. And so you have to break through that and attract the attention and the interest of the world, attract the attention and the interest of developers. And so I'm extremely proud of what the adoption team and the communications team and the commercial team have done, and the team that we've managed to put together. We've got people who have been um, uh, CEO or key entrepreneurs and founders in previous projects have come and gotten excited about BitcoinOS and are now helping to lead the project. And we've managed to break through the hardest barrier for a new technology, which is obscurity, right? And so now we've got a lot of developers and a lot of projects, and some of the biggest, best known projects in the crypto space, like um, the four of the top five layer twos in Bitcoin are building on Boss. Um, some of the largest L1s are integrating Boss. Some of the largest rollups on Ethereum are integrating Boss. And then, also infrastructure projects around that are all integrating. And so we've broken through that barrier, I think, in a way which far exceeded my expectations or even belief about what was possible. So there's that commercial challenge. And then there's the challenge of building a really, really strong community. And I think here we're just starting. Claire, you've been spearheading this, right? We've been, so focused on building that we haven't really spent as much time as we would have liked on spaces like this, uh, creating opportunities for more and more people to get involved. We've now really started it with this new year, and that's really we're starting to see way more interest and engagement. And so all three of those things are key challengers, which are just going to continue forever. So we just need to keep um, executing in the way that we've been executing. And I think we'll be, if we can continue to sort of exceed my expectations in the way that we have been up until now, um, I will be extremely pleasantly surprised, and I think we'll be unstoppable.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you for that wonderful speech. And yeah, there's just a lot of complex layers to everything, guys, but we have a very strong, powerful team, and everybody has a lot of experience and everybody's playing their part, and it's going to be really exciting to see everything kind of come into fruition. So all right, let's get into this other question here. I know by the way, guys, I do see a lot of you have been requesting. I just want to make sure that you know that I do see it. We will come to those questions. We'll pull you guys up like towards the end of the call. Hopefully that's okay with you. And this next question is, how does Bitcoin OS overcome Bitcoin's limitations to enable more complex smart contracts?
So the way that we do it is quite special. The way everyone thought you need to do smart contracts is you go and you build um, a virtual machine and a programming language into the chain. And if you do that, then the chain can start understanding complex computation. It basically forces the miners or the validators to run all of that complex computation. And so the chain can understand it, but the chain becomes extremely complicated and heavy. Um, Bitcoin, I think, was never meant to be that kind of chain, and and the consensus to turn it into that kind of chain never existed and will probably never exist. And I think that's a really good thing. I think it's really powerful that Bitcoin is this pure play, minimalist, reliable law of nature. But then you've got a real problem, right? How do you bring that kind of complexity? And so we need to um, invent a new computing paradigm for crypto. And this computing paradigm is, instead of putting the up the programming language, the virtual machine, the um, um, basically the operating system inside the chain, you put it around the chain like a blanket. And so what we do is we allow that complicated computation to happen off chain, and then we take that computation, we prove that it happened, and convert it, condense it into a ZK proof, and then we write that ZK proof to Bitcoin. And then if you can write that ZK proof to Bitcoin, that's the first step, but it doesn't get you all the way. The next thing that you need to do is to be able to verify that ZK proof and to prove to Bitcoin that it is correct. And then you need to allow things to execute on Bitcoin on the basis of that. And so that's what we've done. We call it, I'm going to go back to that word that you used. It's basically an unchained operating system. It's an unchained compute paradigm for crypto where all of the complexity is off chain. So you run complex computations, you prove those computations to the chain using proofs, these tiny little ZK proofs, and then you execute on the on chain on the basis of that. So that is the way that we do it. It takes the complexity off chain. It means that we can do it with Bitcoin as it is today, and it also means that we've built something which is a completely new idea in crypto, which is an operating system which isn't specific to any given chain, but is anchored to Bitcoin and can work on any other chain as well.
Amazing. And for those of you who don't know what ZK proofs are, I'm just going to try to give you guys a quick rundown just to kind of keep you guys like just empower you with knowledge, right? Of course, it's always our goal here. So, um, the best way to explain it is imagine you need to prove something is true without revealing any private details about it, right? So that's kind of what a ZK proof is. It's cryptography. So an analogy for you guys is imagine you're going to a club and instead of showing your ID to prove you're over 21, you could use a ZK proof. Let's say it's like a badge that basically says, yes, this person is over 21. And now the bouncer of the club knows it's true without seeing any of your private information. So with Bitcoin OS, ZK proofs let us prove transactions and computations are valid without revealing all these complex details, right? Bitcoin can now verify and say, hey, yes, this happened correctly without needing to see or store all of the data. It's basically like a super, super secure way of saying, trust me, this is true. But instead of trusting the person, you're basically trusting math and cryptography. And I'm so sorry for my dog barking, guys. But Yago, let's go to the next question. Somebody asked, is the technology based on multisig?
No, no. There's no assumption of multisig in the BOS system. In fact, a lot of what we've done, like the reason that the original reason we built and started thinking about this was because we wanted to get away from multisigs, right? The problem with a multisig is when you hand your Bitcoin over to a multisig, you're handing, or like a federation, you're handing your Bitcoin over to some group and you're hoping that the majority of that group are going to be good custodians of your Bitcoin. So we wanted to get away from that and build a system where a majority cannot cheat the system. Now, the first version of BOS that we're going to be releasing, every single smart contract has a number of owners. They basically pre-commit themselves to upholding the cryptographic rules of what we're calling ZK vaults, which are basically these very, very lightweight smart contracts on Bitcoin that are completely controlled by ZK proofs. So you can have very, very complicated computation off-chain, which generates ZK proofs. Those ZK proofs get sent to these ZK vaults, and the ZK vaults move Bitcoin or move tokens or make any other activity that you want to happen on Bitcoin programmatically happen on the basis of the computation that happened off-chain. So you have a number of owners, and they pre-commit. One limitation in the system right now is that you can change those owners, but you need to perform a transaction, like a consensus type transaction or a pre-defined transaction in order to change the owners. Over time, our expectation is we're going to be able to allow basically anyone who's an operator to, by default, be um, um, an owner, and so basically the ownership becomes so distributed that they're not even owners to these smart contracts. But because all of the owners of these smart contracts, and by the way, just so you guys know, pretty much every smart contract out there has an owner. This is not like a new thing, right? This is not something that is special to BitcoinOS, but the way that we build the ownership is that the owners have to, basically what is an owner? An owner are the people who create the smart contract. They need to pre-commit to a set of rules, and then they can't cheat the system because of the one of n security assumption that we've built in.
Fantastic. Thank you for clarifying on that. And honestly, we have a couple more questions, but we're kind of getting like kind of need to like wrap up here. So before we bring up anybody who has any questions, I did want to mention a couple of community-based things for you guys. So today we will be announcing on our Discord channel a meme wars. Basically, you guys will. It's pretty much what it sounds like, right? It's like you guys are going to be competing against each other. So the first skirmish will be um, all these details, by the way, will be on our Discord, but the entire goal of this is for there to be a first round of memes, and then the winner of that meme is going to go against the second round meme, basically, and then they're both going to eventually compete against each other for like a final reward. And there's going to be about $500 in Amazon gift cards that are going to be distributed basically across two people, because the first round winner will go against the second round winner, and so that second round, whoever ends up like winning that final round, they have an opportunity to basically win. I think it's a little bit over $300 in Amazon gift cards, right? So all those details will be announced on our Discord today. So make sure that if you're not on our Discord and you do want to participate in Meme Wars, please, go to our BitcoinOS profile and click the link in the bio, and it'll take you there. Now, the second thing is that we've incorporated, I can't speak today, an FAQs channel on Discord. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, you will likely be able to find them there. I wanted to make sure I can simplify BitcoinOS to the utmost degree. So right now, I've only answered about 3 questions in there, but I will be filling it up more today and obviously next week. And then Zeely, obviously a lot of you are participating in our community. You're attending these AMAs, these community calls. You guys are retweeting a lot of our content. And obviously as a token of our appreciation, we want to be able to just kind of give back to you, right? For your participation. So if you have already not connected your Discord to Zeely and connected to our community, please go ahead and do that, because in the next week or 2 weeks, I haven't finalized the exact details, but we will be kind of incorporating a reward, whether it's going to be every month or it's going to be every 2 months. I haven't specified those details yet, but I will be discussing those with my team, coming up in the next week. So, and if you, yes, so bottom line is what I'm saying is go to our Discord, go to the announcements channel, and you should have all the information you need regarding Zeely. And of course, like I said, the meme wars will be announced today. So if you do want a chance at potentially winning over $300 in Amazon gift cards, definitely stay tuned for that. And then, yeah, with that being said, let's bring up some community members. We have about like 8 minutes here. So if anybody wants to come up, please send a request. There was a couple of you that were requesting and we didn't get to you in time. So yeah, so if you guys would like to, you guys have any questions whatsoever, feel free to hit that request button. And if we don't have any, I guess we could also end it there. Oh, Macho is requesting. Let me bring you up, my friend. Macho, welcome, my friend. The mic is yours. What is your question?
I just wanted to ask you a little bit about the Cardano community. And, I know you've talked a lot about Cardano, but getting into your GitHub and looking at that, I saw a lot of ERC20 stuff. What's coming first, the integration with Cardano or the integration with Ethereum and ERC20 based tokens?
so there's no integration with ERC20. ERC20 is just a standard. It's just one way of creating tokens on a type of chain which has basically, I think it would be more accurate to call.
Sorry, Yago, you got muted there.
Sorry, the chains that are using the EVM, right, which is the Ethereum virtual machine. Now, the Ethereum virtual machine, and in particular, one programming language that people can use to write for it, which is Solidity, has a huge head start over Cardano in terms of dev tools, in terms of just the maturity of the tools available to developers, and so it's much easier to build integrations with those chains than it is to build with Cardano. In fact, the tools that we would need to integrate with Cardano don't yet exist. We need to build them, or we need to work with others to build them. And so we will see integrations with EVM before we will see integrations with Cardano. The advantages that Cardano has don't change, but we also have to recognize the disadvantages of Cardano, which is that simply Cardano is a much less mature developer environment at this point.
Gotcha. Now, is that those tools you're talking about that need to be built on Cardano? Is that some of the stuff that I guess I think it's like the Sundial team, Midgard, is working on?
Yes. So one of the exciting things about Sundial is that they are one of the teams, and they are working with us and working to build out sort of the missing pieces that will make it possible to integrate Cardano as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
David and Constant, both of you requested. So Constant, do you want to start with your question?
Hello,
Constant,
hello, James. Yeah, James.
good morning.
Am I audible enough?
What's that, my friend?
Am I audible enough? Yeah,
We
it
can
seems I'm rugging.
we can
Am I
hear
audible?
you. We can hear you.
All right. Thank you so much. Like, oh my God, this is all of
You there, my friend? I think you're rugging, bro. Sorry about that. We can if you wanna like hop back in, I can pull you up to be a speaker. Just leave the space and you can come back in. But David, the mic is yours, my friend.
Hi, everyone. Um, Alien and Yago. Okay, I've been listening, and you've Yago, you talked more on the technical aspect. So, how about let's say the end users, people that are not engaging with the with BOS in the technical aspect? Is there any challenges that they could face? That is just
Yeah,
the
I mean,
question I'm having.
I mean, you know what crypto is like, right? If the end user always faces a lot of challenges, we basically have the worst UI UX of the entire, anywhere in the world, right? So, like, I'll give you an example. Let's say you've got Bitcoin and you want to do the simplest thing, which is just move that Bitcoin to another chain, right? So you'll actually need to have two wallets. Not always, like some wallets will support all of the different chains, but in a lot of cases they won't. And so sometimes you'll have to, have one wallet, which is your Bitcoin wallet, and then you actually need to send it to your other wallet. You actually have to send the transaction to yourself because you've maybe got like I don't know, like a wallet that you use for, I don't know, Arbitrum or Cardano or whatever. So that's annoying and difficult for users. And it's very annoying and very difficult for developers, because if you think about a developer, we have to try and figure out all of the different ways that users could try and use the system and all of the different ways that they could encounter difficulties and try and solve for those problems. And there's so many different wallets and so many different ways that users could come to the system and so many different things that they could try to do to the system or with the system. so that's one of the things that makes just everywhere the UI and the user experience with crypto very, very difficult. And it always starts out the most difficult at the beginning because it takes time to get it really good.
All right. Thank you concerning that. I think that will be that for now.
Thank you, David. Appreciate you asking. Vision, the mic is yours, my friend.
Hello guys, can you hear me
Yes,
well?
we can hear you well.
So I was wondering, since I got here a little bit late, what would be the steps to participate? And are you guys in testnet, or how things are going? And also, with the explosion of AI, are you guys gonna add to the some AIs to the system?
Yeah, so we
Thank you
actually
very
already,
much.
and this will be the last question I answer. So we actually already have one team which is working on building verifiable AI, which means AI where you can see all of the compute and building agents which can integrate with Bitcoin. So that's pretty exciting. We're also building an internal AI system. This one is more designed for developers and community. And we're basically experimenting with building an AI that fully understands the system and can help guide users through the system, answer any questions, um, and possibly in the future sort of evolve to also being able to do transactional activity on behalf of the user. So yeah, so there's actually, we're very. I spend a lot of my time thinking and playing with with UI and AI, and I think the two things actually come together, and that AI is the UI of the future. With regards to the rest of the stuff, um, so I mentioned at the beginning of the call, there will be a user-friendly testnet that we're planning to launch before the end of the month. And I think the best way to get updates is to follow us on Twitter and sort of join the Telegram or the Discord. And are making sure that we get better and better and keep on providing updates across all of those channels. And with that, I have to jump off, but I really want to thank everyone for joining. Claire, thank you very much for organizing this. And it's been fantastic, and I'm looking forward to doing more of these. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks, Yago. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Yago.
All right, awesome.
And guys, just before we wrap up over here, Yago, feel free to dip out. David, if you want, feel free to dip out. Yeah, just before we wrap out, the main update here that we basically made this AMA for this community call for was to let you guys know that at the end of the month, that's kind of a deadline that we've set for this user-friendly interface to kind of toy around with our test net, right? And then a couple more things too. Like I had mentioned, we are starting a meme wars for those of you that just joined. If you would like to participate in the meme wars for a chance to win over $300 in Amazon gift cards, please join our Discord because I will be sharing more information to that today. We also have a FAQs channel up as well on Discord. I will be filling that with tons and tons of basically answers and questions because you guys have been asking for it. And then from there, just to kind of give you my final remarks here, we record all of these and then we upload them to YouTube. And we also do summarize them as well. So all those summaries can actually be found once again on our Discord, and everything will be laid out in layman's terms, simplification, because a lot of these concepts can be very difficult to understand. So I just want to make sure that everything is as simplified as possible for you guys. But David, I'm so sorry. I also do have to jump off because I have a meeting myself. So hopefully, if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And that goes for all of you. I'm pretty much at your service, guys. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'm here for you every step of the way. Just feel free to DM me. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to connect with every single one of you. So with that, guys, have a fantastic weekend. I hope it's very relaxing. And we will connect with all of you later. Take care.